Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Meron po tayong update sa Bill C-12. Okay, madalas po natin itong mapag-usapan over the past few weeks para po to refresh your memory or for those who are only watching my channel for the first time, ang Bill C-12, isa po yung panukalang batas sa Parliament. Okay, dinidinig pa yan, hindi pa po yan ganap na batas. Ang isa po sa mga inaabangan tungkol dyan, kung yan daw po kasi ang maipasa, bibigyan niya ng otoridad ang gobyerno na mag-mass cancel ng mga applications patungkol sa immigration. Mass cancel ng mga already issued immigration documents. Kasama din po yan sa proposed Bill C-12. Okay, so kaya marami nag-aabang dyan katulad ko. Ngayon, press conference, ang Conservative Party, syempre kasama sila sa tumitingin, nag-aaral kung ano ba dapat ang tamang forma ng BC-12, dapat bang ipasa yan as it is. Of course, as expected, meron pong mga itutulak na amendments ang conservative MPs for Bill C-12. Ang sabi nga po nung kanilang parang tagapagsalita na rin, patungkol sa immigration, si MP Michelle Rempel-Garner, ang sabi niya, we will amend the heck out of Bill C-12. She had a press conference about that. I will play a portion of it for you. Okay, hold on. Yan, okay. Press con po niya yan. Mahaba, parang ilang minuto ba? 17 minutes pala yung kanyang opening statement. Pero meron po siyang binabanggit doon, bago niya nilatag yung kanyang mga proposed amendments. She is basically saying na ayaw nilang matulad ang Canada sa nangyayari sa UK. Kung saan meron ding, kumbaga, kung tawagin na rin ng iba, isang crisis sa asylum claimants, situation there. Okay, yan po ang konteksto na kanyang sinasabi. Kaya raw sila maghahain ng napakaraming amendments specifically catering to asylum claimants. Okay?
Here's what we're going to propose and why. This week, British news was dominated by sweeping immigration reforms proposed by the governing Labour Party in response to the ongoing illegal migration and bogus asylum claim crisis, a crisis that has triggered a massive support for the right-wing Reform Party. Those who think that the situation is better on our side of the pond are profoundly wrong. Between January 22 and October of this year, the United Kingdom has had around 375,000 people enter the country and make asylum claims, representing about 0.5% of their overall population. During the same time, Canada had nearly 496,000 claims, or roughly 1.2% of our population today. Liberals have also paired the surge in illegal immigration and bogus asylum claims with allowing record levels of temporary foreign workers and study permits. This situation has strained Canada's public health care system, and other taxpayer-funded social programs past their breaking point, making housing unaffordable, causing a youth jobs crisis, and leading to a heavier reliance on social programs. It has also begun to tear at Canada's social fabric, just as it has in the UK, because rapid, unsustainable immigration levels make pluralism harder to maintain.
Okay, at dahil dyan, puntahan na lang natin, merong bullet points nung kanilang proposed amendments. Ito po yan. You can find it on the official website of the Conservative Party. Okay, ang dami. O, tira nyo, 1 to 11. Okay. Basically, fixing the broken asylum system by ending federal benefits beyond emergency healthcare for failed claimants. Okay. Barring asylum claims from nationals of G7 or EU countries or those who have arrived in Canada having transited through G7 or EU countries. Deeming asylum claims abandoned if claimants return home during processing. Nangyayari po talaga yan, akalain ninyo. May isang nag-claim ng asylum. Pag nag-claim ka ng asylum, di ba, ibig sabihin, hindi ka na makabalik, di ba? There is danger to your life doon sa iyong home country. Akalain nyo, may ilang mga asylum claimants na habang nandito, naghihintay, umuuwi. Bakit ganun? Di ba, hindi ka nga makauwi? So anyway, ayaw na nila nun. Okay. Rejecting claims made after a claimant is found to have lied to an officer. Okay, shifting the onus onto claimants to prove timely filing. Okay, marami pa. Halimbawa, modernizing asylum appeals, screening, and judicial review processes. Modernizing yung IRB with merit. Okay, basta marami guys. Ang klaro po sa akin, ang kanilang focus ay ang pag-aayos nitong nangyayari na fraud sa asylum claimants, group. There is no mention dito sa kanilang press release tungkol sa position nila dun sa authority that will grant the government powers to do mass cancellations of applications. Their press release is silent on that. Which means what? Which means what to me? If you're silent on it, then you will let it be. Diba? Well, I'm not surprised by it. Kinausap natin, of course, ang ating suking immigration lawyer, si Attorney Lou, tungkol dyan. Ano ko ang aasahan natin matapos itong press conference ng conservatives tungkol sa Bill C-12. Ito po ang aming pre-recorded interview. What do you see happening now with Bill C-12? Now that klaro na kung anong planong gawin o gustong i-propose rather ng conservative, lawmakers tungkol dito. Do you see it passing soon? And do you see the liberals opposing the amendments that the conservatives want?
So we need to look at it from the lens of the bigger picture. Siguro yung pinakamalaking news this week from a parliament, if you're reporting from Parliament Hill, is the government survived and we will not have a Christmas elections again.
Okay.
Kasi sa Canada kasi, hindi kagaya sa Pilipinas, na kapag hindi pumasa ang budget, nahuhulog ang gobyerno at kailangan mag-eleksyon. Ganun po ang parliamentary democracy, Westminster style. Especially in a minority parliament, diba? So, nag-survive ang Carney government by the hair of their chinny-chin-chin, 2 votes, diba? Kaloka. Sobrang nandun ako sa ano ba? Mag-election ba? Magbabago na naman ba? Tapos sabi ko, kapag nagbago na naman ang immigration, sakit na naman sa ulo. Anyway, so nag-survive ang government. So ano susunod? Well, I don't think there's gonna be like a bunch of like conservative measures, not conservative, but like confidence measures na dadaan. But C-12 is a major piece of legislation, diba? Alam naman natin yan. Ang laki over para siyang very omnibus bill talaga when it comes to enforcement. Kasama na dyan yung pagkakansela nga, powers to cancel, powers to enforce, powers to yung complicated nga na I think potentially unconstitutional provisions na privacy rights ng mga Canadians would be violated because of monitoring the mail, for example.
The mail, they can open your mail, parang ganun, diba?
Yes! Pero yun kasi, like yung, alam ko yung pinagagalingan nila kasi like, in constitutional law in Canada kasi, merong theory na the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada is in effect in the territory of Canada, but at the borders, it's watered down. So technically, if there's enforcement at the border, your charter rights are, if you use that logic, watered down din. So, yun yung tingin kong pinanggagalingan nila. But in any event, anong mangyayari dito sa proposals ng conservatives? Ano ba yung mga pinopropose nila? Gusto nila ng mas matindi pang pagseseryoso sa system's integrity. In principle, I'm not
asylum claims, no? Specifically.
Exactly. I think one of the things that they're like proposing for a long time is first in, first out. Not first in, last in, first out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think yung prinsipyo na yun, magandang pag-aralan in a sense kasi it will discourage bogus claims na pinag-usapan natin before na gustong gamitin yung sistema ng asylum to buy time in Canada. Na wala naman talaga silang claim. And then at the same time, nagbe-benefit sila with work authorization, access to healthcare, etc., etc. na kinagagalit ng Canadians. Right? So it's basically like managing the inventory of asylum seekers in Canada para yung mga legitimate claims lang talaga yung tanggapin. Diba? So it'll be interesting. Kasi at the same time, madami talagang questions dito in terms of like dealing with the inventory. Parang sa IRCC din, di ba? Kasi how many judges do you have or decision makers do you have at the Immigration and Refugee Board? One of the things na nag-strike for me na sinabi sa press con ni Michelle Rempel-Garner was that she wants more representation for law enforcement on the board. Kasi, did you know, Ina, that if you have immigration experience, you can apply to be a decision maker sa IRB for asylum cases, for immigration appeal divisions. You don't even have to be a lawyer.
Like may number of years required ba doon na experience?
I forget the exact qualifications, pero yung tinitignan nila doon was post-secondary education. Actually, tapatin
Pwede
kita.
pa na ako mag-apply dyan, baka.
Nagsimula yung pandemic noon, naalala ko, so hindi ko alam kasi kakastart din lang ng firm ko like 2-3 years before the pandemic struck. So parang nung nag-steady state na yung firm ko, biglang nag-pandemic, di ba? So sabi ko, saan gagawin ko? So parang out of the blue, parang nakita ko yung posting sa IRB, sinend ko lang yung resume ko. Tapos yun nga, naalala ko nga yung mga requirements na post-secondary, nahanapan ko kung meron kang master's or whatever, obviously advantage kung kung may legal training ka, tapos may experience ka in immigration and refugee law. So check ako, diba? So actually, pinapatawag ako for, kasi pero hindi ko na tinuloy kasi naging busy na ulit yung practice, diba? But all that to say is you don't have to be a lawyer. Actually, yung main baseline nila inaanap nila is post-secondary. Kasi, ang totoo dyan, maraming mga former officers from CBSA and from IRCC who basically move on from their careers there, nag-a-apply sila sa IRB to become decision makers. Diba?
I see. So, ganun sila ka, naghihikayat ng mga tao to help them out, basically.
Yeah, and it's interesting kasi yun nga, sabi ni MP Michelle Garner nga, na she's of the opinion that there should be more from enforcement, like from CBSA. Pero out of experience and from conversations with friends who do a lot of IRB work, sometimes kadalasan yung I'm sure there are statistics on this, how many decisions of the IRB are reversed by the Federal Court of Canada for the misapplication of the law. Kadalasan sa mga poorly trained decision makers who don't have a background in law.
I see.
Or a background in dealing with the Immigration Refugee Protection Act. In theory, CBSA officers should know this. They should because they're enforcing it. Pero kasi ang mas babad dyan, mga immigration lawyers or immigration consultants who do a lot of IRB work.
Yeah.
Diba?
Okay. So clearly, ang observation ko, ang punteriya ng conservatives is addressing the fraud and to hasten the processing there sa asylum claims, no?
Correct.
Syempre ako, ang binabantayan ko yung sinasabing mass cancellations.
Wala.
Wala silang binibigay masyado na amendments doon. So parang okay sila kung sakaling yun ang gagawin at gagamitin ng gobyerno, no? Once or if it is passed eventually.
They're not opposing it. So that's for sure. Yung silence nila is complicity to the liberal plan. Di ba may mga jokes nga sa political circles ngayon, especially sa mga talk shows ngayon, na yung current liberal government is actually a progressive conservative government in liberal clothing. Diba? Like Mark Carney is governing from the center right, not from the center or the left na kagaya ni Justin Trudeau, diba? So very interesting observations, and I can tell you as someone who works in immigration na talagang may hard right talaga pagdating sa immigration policy itong government na ito. Actually, towards the end of the tail end ng Trudeau government, there was a momentum towards the right of the spectrum, and nag-continue siya with the Carney government by filing C2 and now this time C12 with mass cancellations nga, expanded powers for surveillance, etc. It's very, very interesting times.
Last na lang. Bakit pa, Lu, sasabihin ng iba, bakit pa ba kailangan ng Bill C12? As it is, we've already seen some provinces shutting down streams at a time. So parang nangyayari na itong mass cancellation. Ano difference? Ang pwede sa Bill C12.
The only when it comes to mass cancellations, kasi ito yung mass cancellations ng existing applications, di ba?
Okay.
Kasi they want parliamentary imprimatur na maging batas siya na may autoridad na pwedeng i-cancel yung mga pending application. Kasi kung hindi, magiging problematic ito at pwedeng demanda ang gobyerno ng mga tao na nasa waiting pool, di ba? Yung mga nag-submit na ng application. So this is in a way them cloaking the cancellations later on with legal immunity by way of legislation. Ganun kasi siya. So it's actually quite an interesting move. Yun yung nabasa ng iba, and I tend to agree with this, na talagang itong mass cancellation na ito ay really is designed to deal with the inventory dun sa backlog.
Okay.
Merong 229 days to process a work permit right now.
Yeah. Okay. Merong ibang nag-worry that it might be used to cancel already issued PRs. Hindi naman sana. What do you think?
I think in the current iteration of the bill, parang wala naman siya. Unless related to fraud. If you fraudulently obtained your permanent residence, keep in mind, nung earlier this part of the year pa lang, kapag may involvement na sa mga temporary resident documents na obtained by fraud or administrative error, an officer on the spot can cancel it. Diba? Clarify nila. So, hindi ako magugulat na merong ganong provision dun sa na i-add for permanent residents. Pero I don't think na willy-nilly ka-cancel nila ang PR.
Okay.
Hindi naman yun. Kasi
only if tagged siguro nga sa fraud. Yun lang i-cancel.
You're literally one step away from citizenship.
Yeah.
Magre-revolution ang mga Canadian families kapag ganun.
Okay, there you have it, guys. Sige, imo-monitor pa rin natin, of course, ang development ng BC12 sa Parliament. Again, hindi pa po yan in effect. Okay? I will end this episode here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!